Kia ora koutou, no mai haere mai, and welcome to Frogs on Friday. Really excited about the show today. In Mahi Media, we have a bit of an indication that maybe workers might be a little less choosy as we see some changes in the job market. So we'll explore that a little bit further. Of course, we'll look at our hot jobs across New Zealand, Australia, and the UK. And I'm joined by Carlos Chambers, who is the founder and CEO of CarbonInvoice. And he's here to discuss Frog Recruitment's new partnership, which we're very excited about, and how we are working towards a carbon neutral future together with CarbonInvoice. And we'll finish off, as always, with our social media polls. So let's jump into Mahi Media. Okay, so hot off the press, Seek have just released their quarterly employment report. Some of the key findings were after rising in August, the job ads actually declined 2% in September, but it's still 1% higher than back in September 2019, so pre-pandemic. The other key result was that applications per job ad declined, and this is for the first time since January, and dropped 4% month on month. So I guess that some of the key outcomes there in really simple terms is that there seems to be fewer jobs and also less people applying for them. Now, Seek's numbers reflect what we are seeing in the job market as well, and that tightening of the market. If you happen to tune into our talent webinar last week, you would have heard me talk about the job market balancing out with more job seekers entering the market from overseas and job vacancies decreasing mainly due to those economic pressures. Now, that fall in job ads may seem dramatic, especially if you compare with levels in 2022, but we all know that 2022 was a pretty exceptional year in terms of what was happening in the job market. And you have to look at that the current vacancy levels, although they've dropped month on month, they're still higher than pre-pandemic levels as well. Now, the other thing there that may seem a little bit odd is that the job applications are falling, even when we're seeing record net migration gains. So I think it was 110,000 gain in people moving back or to New Zealand. So I think what's happening there is, although we've got this influx of more available workers within the market, it's a really uncertain time for job seekers and employees. So, of course, we have the standard issues of cost of living. We also have concerns about the economy, and we've had the election as well. So employees also have that wait and see kind of mentality. And all of this adds up to less movement from workers who are already in employment. So that feeling of maybe I should just better sit tight where I am. So if we look at things, I would say that employees and job seekers are still in a better position than pre-COVID. So in terms of their conditions, we're still seeing wage increases come through, although that's likely to taper off. But we've had the benefits of increased flexible working arrangements and other benefits that they've been able to really ask the question, and in most cases get to be able to improve conditions. But if you taper that with less job options, and as I said, with job security being a major factor, the employees are much less likely to be choosy when looking at opportunities, or as I said, are more likely to stay where they are and ride out the time and see what happens. On the other side as well, with employers, Now, there's still a need for quality talent, but they have to balance that up with cost pressures as well. So they can't afford to be making poor hiring decisions or to go free rein with salaries and benefits. So likely to be more cautious on who they offer and what they offer. So speaking of what they offer, let's have a look at some of the jobs on offer this week. Okay, so first up, looks like a bit of a typo there, North Shore. But in Smails Farm and North Shore, we have a communications coordinator role. So this is paying over around the $30 per hour mark, plus your holiday pay and bells and whistles there. Some of the key responsibilities to be able to provide timely updates, particularly regarding public transport delays, and to be really confident working over a range of different channels, so both through mobile, website, social media, etc. For this role, you don't specifically need to have experience within communications, but that definitely a customer service focus is needed for this, and a confidence around different forms of media as well. If you're interested in this role or know someone who is, get in touch with Kirsty in our temp team in Auckland. Okay, and for the perm role for the week, we're over to Wellington. So a policy analyst. So I know that things have slowed down a little bit in Wellington in the policy space, as you can imagine, as we led up to the election. So we're looking to see more opportunities come through, but there's still plenty of work in that area. And this is just one of the many roles that the team at Wellington has. So this one's a policy analyst, and specifically looking for someone with experience within a central government agency. If you're interested in this role, get in touch with Zaf Burns from the team in Wellington. Okay, so let's have a look at some of our roles further abroad. Okay, so first up we have our UK roles. This one's a store manager, paying up to £50,000 per annum. For this one, looks like it must be a large organisation, so looking for someone who has experience covering a large workforce, and really making sure that those operations go smoothly, both on the storefront and within the team as well. So if you're interested in this or any of the roles, or making the move over to the UK, get in touch with Alia from the team in London. And let's have a look at our Australian job of the week.
If you have experience in customer service and a passion for beauty, then listen on. This could be the perfect role for you. I'm working with a beauty organisation who is seeking a customer service representative for a 12-month fixed-term contract. The role is based in CBD, paying 70 to 80,000 plus super, depending on experience. In this role, you will be solely responsible for dealing with the suppliers, making sure that deliveries are on time, credits and returns are processed accordingly, and updating the system. To be successful in this role, you will need to have experience in customer service working in FMCG. If you've worked within beauty or anything related as well, that will also be preferred. You must also have full working rights, enabling you to work for 12 months. So if you tick all the boxes and this sounds like the right role for you, what are you waiting for? Apply today or contact me on the details below. Thanks for watching.
Welcome, Carlos.
Kia ora, Shannon. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's been excellent partnering with CarbonInvoice this year. Has really been able to help us on our journey towards becoming carbon neutral. Now, doing right by the planet has always been really important to us, but it can be a little overwhelming and hard to know where to start. So really thankful that the team at CarbonInvoice got in touch with me this year and opened me up to this opportunity. So Carlos, can you tell us a little bit about CarbonInvoice and what made you start the business?
About 11 or 12 years ago, I decided I was a young law graduate working at Russell McVeigh, and I decided climate was the most important issue facing humanity and the one that I wanted to work on. So I, in some ways, voted with my feet and decided to move on, and a windy journey, but eventually a few years ago started CarbonInvoice after a few other businesses. And really we see an opportunity and a need to help independent small, medium business owners take meaningful action in this climate effort. There are small and medium business owners make up the majority of the world's economy. There's about 1 billion around the world, 600 million sole traders, 400 million with 250 employees or less. And that group accounts for about 1/3 of global carbon emissions. Now, they are busy people, they are highly productive people, and they need easy, accessible, and robust ways to contribute to climate and do their bit in their business. So that's what we've tried.
Definitely agree with all of that.
Yeah, so we've tried to design the easiest starting point for small, medium business owners. We focus on services firms initially. So services firms with an employee up to a couple of hundred. If you want to start your journey, you're scratching your head going, where do I get started? It all feels difficult. Then CarbonInvoice is one way to do that. We allow you to measure your footprint in about a minute. Then we allow you to start mitigating that footprint by funding the planting of beautiful native trees around New Zealand. And then thirdly, we help you communicate that impact in different ways to share with your network, your commercial clients, your teams, the good work that you're doing.
Yeah, perfect. And we've definitely seen the value of that ourselves. But also in a recent survey, Frog found that over 2/3 of New Zealand workers said that their employers weren't doing enough to care for the planet, and only 27% rated that they were going above and beyond. So you've mentioned some of the things here already, but how can CarbonInvoice really help businesses to meet those expectations on when it comes to sustainability practices?
So talk is cheap, and it's about action, right? Positive action. That's what we enable. So I think the starting point is measuring your carbon footprint. You need to put a baseline in and know where you stand today. And then secondly, taking action on that. And we think planting native trees which sequester that carbon, in equivalency to the amount that a business has created, is a very tangible way. It's very proven technology for businesses, to take a first step. And then thirdly, a lot of it is a communication piece, bringing your teams, your clients along on the journey. So we try and help our customers really make that communication piece easy, powerful. For the businesses who do take action, you should be very proud of what you're doing. And I think if we all can communicate that and share, then we can get more and more action. In New Zealand, we've got about 500,000 small businesses. A lot of those are sole traders. There's about 160,000 with an employee or more. Of that group, less than about 3% by our numbers have measured and done anything about their carbon footprint of those privately held businesses. So there's a real opportunity for us to grow that number in Aotearoa, we want to be environmental leaders. We've got a good history of doing so, and I think there's an opportunity for the business community to get started.
Well, absolutely. Well, 3% is obviously a ways to go there, but as you say, what a great opportunity. Now, I wanted to, we've talked about the businesses, and I really like that idea of bringing everybody along on the journey with them as well. So, what about employees? So, I was thinking from the survey results there, it's all well and good for our kaimahi to say their employers aren't doing enough, but what can the employees themselves do to encourage a more eco-friendly workplace?
Yeah, I think the responsibility is in both camps, isn't it, Shannon? I think your survey also pointed out that 40% of employees rated sustainability as a top criteria when choosing their next workplace. 60%, had other priorities as well. But I think if you're in the camp where that is high priority for you from your employer, then I think, in some ways, making that a thing that a selection criteria, in the same way that I did when I found I couldn't work on climate at my current employer. I think there's the ability. I mean, a good question is, do you have a policy around this stuff? Where is your sustainability policy? And maybe an even better question is, what have you done to advance that policy in the last 3 or 6 months? It's easy to write a policy and then forget about it. I think once job seekers join an organization, be proactive and put your hand up and do the work. I know with Frog and People to People, there was an internal working group called Good to Planet, and there was already a lot of thinking in the organization about sustainability underway before CarbonInvoice arrived and before we partnered.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, it's that the thinking's good, but the actual action is so much more value. So thank you for helping us with that, and thanks for coming on today and helping us spread the word as well.
Pleasure, Shannon. Thanks for your leadership and great to be here.
Great. Okay, let's have a look. I think we've got some, keeping on topic, some special polls for this week as well. Okay, so last week we asked, in the last 12 months, has your employer implemented new sustainable practices? A whopping 62.5% said, nope, nothing going on there. And I guess that's not surprising from the stats that Carlos shared with us as well. So I'd always like to be a bit more glass half full. So that's a great opportunity to be able to make some moves in this space and improvements. So let's have a look at what we're asking this week. So how important is it to you that your employer contributes to a sustainable future? So really interesting, as I said, the importance of this issue, and when it comes to employment decisions, is really rising. So I think it was a 40% increase from when we asked last year. So it'd be really interesting to see how the results come out on this, and where that stands as an important issue in your career decisions. Okay, well, that is it for today's show. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Feel free to put through any comments on any of the channels. We'd love to see what you're thinking and to include it in the show as well. See you next time. Ka kite anō.